Everybody. I'm hoping maybe this will be a little bit easier and share a little bit about kind of what's going on and um, just where I am currently as far as work and the world and really you name it. So maybe this will end up being a rant session. Maybe this will end up being helpful for someone else, but this is the nitty gritty real life baloney that I'm dealing with right now. So, hi, if you don't know me, my name is Elle Yonker. I have 18 years experience in the space and military intelligence industry. In that, I focused on um, supply chains and special forces support. So within that realm of knowing, understanding, looking at the world, I have spent my entire career looking at how to help society manage their resources in a manner that is ethical as well as most beneficial to the entire globe. And, we don't get everything correct. Everyone is human, and that's something to remember. And in that, mistakes are made, as well as, you know, things happen. Not everything goes according to plan. So, in that, I have been self employed for all of 2025. That was not part of my plan, but that's what happened. And I was able to manage it as best as I possibly could. Um, and have used savings and everything else to maintain as much normal life as I possibly can. But in that as well, um, I have studied and researched what is known as operator syndrome. And operator syndrome specifically is looking at our special forces operators and managing what symptoms their high stress situations have caused. And that's everything from our drone operators to our intelligence operators to, as I said, our special forces units who are boots on the ground, um, carrying out highly dangerous um, missions. Yeah. So, with all of that, I've learned so much about how the element of cognitive warfare has impacted our operators in a very significant way. And I am beginning the journey of collecting all of that information, making sure that the research, the knowledge, all of that is readily available to those individuals who are kind of at a loss. And with that, it comes to also talking about what I'm going to determine a trigger point. And that is, at what point does an operator get to the point where they're ready to pull the trigger and become that killer? And as a United States Marine Corps veteran, Marines are trained that every Marine is a rifleman. And in the next coming year, the United States Marine Corps has talked a little bit about how they're going from every Marine is rifleman to every Marine is a drone operator, I believe is what the article I saw was talking about. I'll have to double check that, but um, with that, oh yes, so what it is every Marine a drone pilot, reflecting the initiative to rapidly train all Marines in operating small unmanned aircraft systems, especially with first person view attack drones, to extend an individual lethality and situational awareness far beyond the traditional rifle range. Moving from every Marine rifleman to, and this is just quite entertaining, every Marine a robot man for modern warfare. And they are attempting to create a drone proficient force for reconnaissance, logistics, and precision strikes. Now, there are so many different things that kind of go into warfare as a whole, and I am speaking to this from the viewpoint of a I have my bachelor's degree in history, specifically looking at 19th and 20th century modern American military history. And I have spent all 18 years of my life working within or not of my life, sorry. I've spent all 18 years of my career focusing on how to improve and help the intelligence community be able to understand threat from a viewpoint of the trying to think of how best to explain this. There are all sorts of threats in the world. There are the unknown threat and there is the known threat. And quite often, the unknown threat is the scarier threat, because when you know the threat, you can understand how to take that threat and break it down and implement safeguards to protect an individual from those various threats. However, the United States has been at war for 250 years against, I wouldn't necessarily say fascism, but they have been at war against authoritarianism specifically, for the past, since its creation. And what happened essentially when the United States went into the, decided, or when the colonies, there we go, when the colonies decided that they were going to go to war over the Stamp Act. And the Stamp Act was specifically talking about how any legal document required a specific stamp. So you had to pay to get it notarized. Now you can go down to um, your local government office and they will notarize it free of charge. If you make a notary come to you, quite often you will have to pay to have it notarized. But um, all of that to say that the colonists felt that their opinions were being taxed and not being considered when it came to the continuous warfare and how just societies as a whole were operating. So you had the English Empire dictating how they felt the world how they felt the world should work from a social standpoint. And at that point in time, you had the government entity, then you also had the social context, and you had the commercial context. And um, those are the same three elements that to this day we still have all throughout time, really. Um, we have those three elements dictating what is acceptable for a specific society, whether it is what is acceptable to pay for, what is acceptable to be um, regulated, and that kind of goes into the Second Amendment specifically, and how you have a right to bear arms, but it also says that you have a right to a well regulated militia. And um, all of this, I'll be diving into more and more as this year goes on. And I'm really hoping that maybe these short videos um, can not be so me screaming into the void ish, or just make a little bit more sense. But the way my mind works is if I'm able to talk it out and kind of go around in the way my mind loops through information, it helps me to better process my ideas in a manner that is going to, one, help me, but it also helps those individuals willing to engage in those conversations with me. And I say that I had a coworker once upon a time tell me that working with me was like being on a really, really long first date, because if we didn't have work to do, we would sit around and I would ask questions and we would kind of work through these analytical algorithms of ideas. And that is what the intelligence community that I have seen act has, it's how it has evolved. But also, when you have certain conversations that are more difficult to have, these difficult conversations start to move into, again, I said it a little bit ago, the trigger points is what are those topics, those um, ideas, that statement that someone said to you. At what point does an individual go from being a team player working towards a specific goal, to being willing to disrupt the workflow by using a gun specifically. And that is where this year I will be working with Moms Demand Action. I am the suicide prevention lead for Moms Demand Action Virginia State Chapter. I'm also part of the local Fairfax Burke group, but I will also be maintaining the Virginia State social media platform to talk through a lot of these questions. As a combat veteran, how can we learn how to appropriately use weapons? Should we learn to appropriately use weapons? What does the impact of being a operator of, in this we'll talk about just small arms, and small arms goes all the way through your assault rifles to a basic pistol. And we're going to have those discussions on why would you need a gun? Why do you want a gun? What are those safety elements that are, or not safety arguments, because there's the sport argument as well, and really having some tough conversation surrounding this area that is so easy to get to the point where we're talking about ending an individual's life. And in today's world, especially in the United States, it's heartbreaking to see the number of children who go to school and end up not coming home. But the other element of that is understanding, like, one, how do we as a society do better? And two, how do we help these incredibly painful moments? How do we turn those into something that is hopeful and creates unity? And I'm going to absolutely go down a rabbit hole of my passion and getting on my soapbox talking about how when individuals do not have that environment where they can talk through the conflict in their head, they find an outlet. And whether that outlet is on the internet, in forums that can get extremely toxic extremely fast, or in environments that help those individuals understand the reasons behind those feelings and emotions, and how different situations affect our emotions, and talking about both the ills of the world as well as those areas that are full of creativity and love and passion and understanding that the dichotomy of good and bad are so difficult to fully comprehend, fully explain to another individual who may or may not have been in that situation. It's it's very easy to start judging people. And as I go through this year and hopefully make better videos, because right now I'm just kind of talking to my computer screen, because that's, like I said, that's what's helpful to me, and I hope it'll be helpful to you. But all of that to say that it is so easy to see all the ill, all the dark, and think that there is no way things could possibly get any better. And at the same time, feeling like if things get any worse, I'm going to lose it. And in that, I want to help communicate that, one, there's a good chance I have been in the situation you have found yourself in. I am approaching my 40th birthday this year, which is terrifying, not gonna lie. But I am also a mom. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. Um, I am a, sorry, I'm a sexual violence survivor. And the world can be a very scary place. So my goal this year is to help bring about a little bit of hope. Sorry. My hope and my goal is to bring about just a little bit of hope that will help continue to drive us forward and do everything in our power to make a little bit of difference, to make those within our circle of influence, and I'll talk about the circle of influence another day, but those specific individuals that we interact with every day, we have the ability to leave an impact on them that can absolutely change things for them. And it doesn't have to be anything big, it can be something small. And we're going to talk through how you can do small things and the impact of small things over time. And all of that is going to add to the idea of learning how to smile when all you want to do is cry. And not in a toxic positivity way, but in a way that helps you to continue to seek out hope when that hope is hard to find and hard to come by. Um, so if you see this video, this message, it speaks to you, please let me know. I don't know how many videos I'm going to be making or be able to make, or but I do a lot of writing. Um so all of the all of my material that I put together is free, open on the internet, for you to peruse at your leisure. Um, Anything that involves me working one on one or helping to generate your own content, whether that is through helping edit books or organize files or anything like that. I do hourly rates, and that is perfectly just because, as I said, I lost my job. I'm working independently, so that just enables me to be able to pay bills. Um, and from that point, I want to I want to help each one understand their place in this world, how they can make a difference with the skills that they have, how to learn new skills, and just be able to build work life balance into workflows that enable people to start dreaming about the future again, to see something better than what we currently have. And if you're one of the people who are like, what do you mean? We have things totally great. Then you know what? Good for you. I am so I am glad you are not having to go through the same struggles that a lot of other individuals are going through, because struggles are not fun. Um, but if you are under the impression that either no one in the world is struggling, that is false. Or you're in the boat where you're the only one struggling, that is also false. There are so many people out there that have been out of work, who have health issues that they're trying to navigate. And sometimes there are people who are dealing with all of the above at the same time. And I'm going to completely, tell you more than you need to know when I talk about, when we go into certain topics. It's going to be TMI, so too much information. Um, I will give content warnings on those specific things, where when we're talking about very big topics, um, whether it is something that you don't want to hear, you can't hear, you don't have a capacity to hear, or it is a topic that um, you may disagree with me on. I welcome debate. But I welcome respectful debate and talking through um, religious texts. I was raised in the Southern Baptist Church, um, and that goes into, I will discuss about what I have learned through going through a lot of the um, conservative training to understand, one, how a we'll go how the far right leaning individuals can think and operate based off of their learning patterns and the information they have been exposed to, as well as the far left leaning individuals. So that way, as we continue through this next year, the polarity of mindsets and understanding at what point is an argument a trigger point, if that makes sense. So, I will go through all of that. So again, if you found this video, if you watch, I have no idea how long I've been yammering because I do tend to ramble a little bit. I think I'm at like the 30-minute mark now. But all of this is going to go into understanding cognitive warfare, the neurodivergent mind, all the way from all the various neurodivergent minds to neurotypical minds to talking about sexuality and how sexuality impacts us. It all is encompassing what I like to call the space and military intelligence learning experience, or SMILE. So this is the first video for Hive 1, and if you just want to digest the information that I'm able to put out there, great. If you want to interact more, if you want to help what I am doing, all of that, I will wrap up all of the details and you can interact to the level that you have capacity to, or you can move on and say, you know what, this ain't for me, which is totally good too. But with all of that, I just wanted to share a little bit of the what and why and how I think it's going to end up working out. But all of that, and invite anyone who wants to continue on this journey with me as I ramble at my computer screen talking about the various information streams I have worked through, and will be working through over the next year. So thank you for your time and listening to me. And yeah, all right. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day and Happy New Year.